Welcome to the Dom Sub Devotion Podcast.
Every episode of Dom Sub Devotion shares the lessons learned from our experience of love, devotion, and desire inside of our 24/7 Dom Sub marriage.
We've found that dominance and submission is more than just a kink. For us, it's been a path to deep intimacy and desire that lasts over the long term. We share our experience through this podcast to be the example that we didn't have when we started down this path, and to help you find your way to a dynamic that works in your real life.
You can learn more about us and our courses and offerings in the show notes and at infinitedevotion.com. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back to the Dom Sub Devotion Podcast. If you are joining us via audio, you haven't seen yet. If you're on video, you have seen that I have my wonderful, talented, and sexy, submissive Dawn here with me again for another episode. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Feels weird. Feels weird to welcome you to it because it was hours for so long, but
I know, but I don't even remember how long it's been since I was on here, but it's fun to be back.
And this is going to be the last podcast of the year. You don't have to have a heart attack out there if you're listening.
How many people gasped before you finished the sentence?
But I wanted to start with this because I am going to take the whole month of December off of posting new episodes. And it's been 2.5 years roughly of recording these every single week and publishing them every week. And I remember last year seeing, I don't remember who it was, but a big name podcaster saying that he took December off every year since the beginning of his podcast to relax, recharge, spend some time with his family. And even when his business got really successful, he still took December off. And frankly, I could use a break. So, yes, for those of you who are listening, there aren't going to be any new episodes until January. And, there's 110 plus of these out there for you to go back and listen to. If you really miss me and miss us that much, there's a lot of stuff out there. You can go back and listen to your favorites again. If I think about it, I'll even link a few of my favorite past episodes in the show notes for this episode. So you can go back and listen to some other ones that I've particularly enjoyed.
Yeah, you could also post those on Instagram. Like oldie but goodie.
Yeah. Back when Dawn had blonde hair.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, just give us some grace, though, if you go back and listen a long, long time, because, wow, I've changed since we started this podcast in just who I feel like within myself. And so obviously that's going to be displayed in how I showed up on the podcast, too. And that's fine. That's where I was at. And to me, it's a beautiful thing. And I don't go back and listen to them, but I know that it was much different.
I always I guess it's reassuring to me when people tell me, oh, we found your podcast and we went back and started all the way at episode 1 to listen to all of them. I'm like, I sure hope you stuck around because, man, those first few, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just, literally winging it. I was figuring out how to do this as we went. And yeah, 110, 12, 15, I don't know exactly what episode this will be when we put it out, but that many episodes later, I've gotten a lot better at it. And I'm looking forward to a break.
Yeah. Well, I want to share one valid little point you're making there, is because it's been one of my biggest concepts I've absorbed because of you, is that the only way to actually know what something is like and therefore learn and grow and feel into things is by experiencing it. So we put ourselves in those red chairs. And we made it the best we could make it, and then you kept tweaking, and you were like, oh, we need a little bit better microphones, and we got a better camera, and like all of those things, and you kept just improving it little bit by little bit. And I really love that about you, in how much you care about the little things and delivering the content in the best of our abilities that we possibly could, and giving ourselves room to grow and room for grace, I guess.
Yeah, one of the things that I think I've always been particularly good at is not waiting until it's perfect before I start.
Absolutely.
But also then starting and then evolving and then learning from, like you said, from the experience. So, a lot of what we've built here, a lot of what we built here has been built that way. We didn't even start doing any of this for the sake of building what's turned into a really big business that is going really well and getting better by the month. This thing is just blowing up.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important to slow down and pause a little bit. Because just thinking about the evolution of Infinite Devotion in this last year, it was basically at the first of the year when you were like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I need to step back and take a break or be done with it. It wasn't take a break. I need to be done with it.
Well, in my memory, it was like I recognized these messages that came to me and I shared them with you. And to be honest, if it was probably up to me, I probably would have tried to still keep everything the same, just keep going and living in more self-sacrifice despite knowing that message. But it only would have gotten more challenging. But you were the one who basically said, no, you're done. Now we're going to do this last podcast. And it was a huge relief to me. But I give you the credit for making that decision, even though the message came through me.
And since then, that was 11 months ago. Since then, we've grown our business dramatically. We've grown by, across all platforms, we've probably doubled our following this year. We've doubled our income. Released more new products than ever. All while you've been doing less.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a lot of people who will message us and say hey, Infinite Devotion team, there's no team.
Well, yeah.
But at a certain point, there's almost the assumption that there must be more than one person. I had one of my clients say, you're a content machine. How do you do all this by yourself? But I literally do everything we do. The podcast, all of the social media posting, all of the courses, all of the web development, all of the emails, all of the writing, and then other projects that we're in the middle of working on still now, which we'll talk maybe a little bit more about that at the end of this episode. Stick around. But yeah, I've done all of it. And I'm looking forward to slowing down a little bit for a month and recharging, putting my energy into a couple of different places instead.
Yeah. Well, all of what you just shared speaks to how great you are. And so I just want to point that out. Just all of your abilities to lead me, but also lead this business and create it to be what it has. This is all you.
I'm just going to sit back and let you build me up a little bit more. I like this.
I like it too. I will publicly do this for the rest of my life because everything about my life and the version of myself that I have gotten to connect with and live in is because of you. And your ability to see me, but just see people, your ability to connect to truth, and then take all of that wisdom and deliver it in a business to the world. You're amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've always thought you're amazing, and it only continues to grow. Your amazingness, that is.
There was some double entendre there, I think. So, I just want to recap a little bit more of what Infinite Devotion has really accomplished this year. Like I said, doubling our following is huge, but it's even more important to me how many people that we're touching. And I would say it's way more than double the number of people who reach out and tell us how much they appreciate or how much they've learned or how much it's helped them, their relationship, their approach to their next relationship. And those are the things that mean so much to me. Because I think what people don't maybe understand about what it's like doing this for a living, it is a lot of talking to myself.
Yeah, especially, because I'm not on the podcast anymore.
Yeah, and it's a lot of talking to myself, talking to a camera, looking at a computer screen, and there's not a lot of feedback. And I'm an extrovert, so I don't get that people-to-people feedback that you get when you're talking to someone in person. So those messages mean everything to me, just because I know that I'm not just shouting into the void.
Yeah, and isn't that kind of the concept of polarity too? Because you're putting yourself out there, you're delivering something, and so whatever feedback you receive is fuel.
Right.
It's energizing. It's like it is part of the universe saying your work is needed, it's being helpful, and that is life-giving.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I talk a lot to men about validation seeking. This was a massive issue that I've had to work through for myself and overcome, which is, in the past, it felt like that feedback, I was just empty of it, and I needed people to tell me that I was doing a good job. And with the internal work that I've done for myself, we've unpacked your internal work to the end of the earth on this podcast, but the internal work that I've done has really helped me fill that void for myself. So now the feedback for me is just, it's really, really valued. It means a lot to me, but it isn't the same level of neediness that I used to feel for that validation, for before the feedback was approval that I was doing good.
Yeah.
Now it's feedback that lets me know that I'm touching people's lives and making a difference, and it's a big difference in my system.
Yeah. And that's been one of the beautiful things that you've been able to grow and evolve in because of deciding to step forward and put this business out there.
Yeah.
That's where life is the work, right?
I had, our listeners will be familiar with Nadia Moonla, who was on the podcast a few months ago with me.
Yeah.
She made a statement one time. I was emailing with her, and she said she was starting a new program, or getting ready to start a new program, and she was being put through the curriculum before the program started. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happens every single time that we go to launch a new product, to launch a new course, sometimes just to record a podcast episode. Life just unloads everything onto us, onto me, whatever the case may be, to teach what we need to know in order to deliver that cleanly. And it happens every time, all the way back to the very first time we launched a course. It was just like all the lessons that we needed to learn ourselves so that we could teach that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, with it being such a big year, so much podcasting, we released several new courses, like so much going on. There's been a lot of curriculum. It's been a lot of new things to learn for me, and that all just helps me bring more clarity, more integrity, more wisdom to everything that I do here.
Well, again, this is something that I've learned because of you, is that I don't have to go seeking how to fix myself. I don't have to go look to try to find what's wrong with myself. When I show up in my own life and live every day with more and more embodiment, ability to be present within my own life experience, I get to now notice the little things that life is telling me. Now, sometimes they don't feel very little, but the whispers can be little. The voices that you hear can be little. And I'm not talking about like being, I don't know what that's called, where you hear like a voice in your head. Literally, like the voice of God is something that I've heard. Like, that's all I can say. Go experience it for yourself. And anyway, it's just by showing up and living that we continue to evolve into who we've become and who we're becoming, and like just the full expression of soul lived on earth.
And that's really been the story of your year.
Yeah.
Is stepping out of holding yourself back, stepping out of self-control, stepping out of the ways that fear told you what you could and couldn't do.
Yeah, external morality, yeah.
Yep. And into more following what felt right for you, and then learning the lessons that were there for you to learn.
Yeah.
And you've learned some big ones this year, but they've all been incredible, watching you just really get to know yourself and meet yourself for real.
Yeah, it's felt very abundant and expansive this year. And it's been fucking challenging with a lot of tears, but incredibly rewarding.
Someone said to me the other day that he was so impressed, in the way that this was worded, he was so impressed with what I've been able to accomplish with you. And like what I've been able to lead you to. And to see you so free and feeling so alive. And I said two things back. Like, it isn't just me. Like, you can't just give me the credit. You have been so doggedly committed to finding your way to your own authenticity, no matter what it meant having to stand up in or what it meant having to face. And like, yes, I've led you in the direction. I've guided you there, but only to the place where you could look and decide for yourself if you were going to jump and see if you could fly.
Yeah. And you can't hear that voice in my head.
I cannot hear the voice in your head.
And you can't...
Is the voice in your head here with us now? Is it in the room with us?
Oh, it's all here with me all the time now. You can't force me to see something. You can't force me to feel something. You can't, like, there's so much of this that you have told me and I've received in my mind. And it's felt like, then eventually my body catches up and I feel all of these things. It's like this little thing, and then all of a sudden it's like all of these things together. And I'm like, wow. But so like, I give you a lot of credit, but yeah, I'm giving myself some credit too, because
As you should.
like who I am today is because of my willingness to die a million deaths, like, and shed the ego over and over and more and more and more, and be willing to face some things that had felt really challenging and scary. And I mean, let's be real. I said this before, that there was a time when I'm like, no, porn is a bad thing. And then all of a sudden I was realizing certain things about the turn on, and now I'm like thriving in myself by stepping forward into something that in the past was terrifying to me. And I am way more of myself now. And I've connected to just so much more of life. That's about all I can say to it.
So I was also, the other part of that conversation was saying that a lot of what people see in you is a bit of the highlight reel. And let's be real. It's social media, most of what we do. And so we share what is possible through all of this work that we do. But when you're having a breakdown, when you're going through an ego death, when I'm going through an ego death and I'm having a breakdown, we don't set up the camera and record that.
No.
So I want people to know that this, in some ways, what you see from us is a bit of a highlight reel. Mm-hmm. We don't document every moment of our life, and we certainly don't perform ego deaths for the camera. What we show you is what is on the other side. If you're willing to go through all of the quote-unquote hell, what feels like hell, mm-hmm. of deconditioning yourself from all of the beliefs that you absorb about who you think you are.
Yeah. It's a very individualized process.
And it's intimate.
Very.
I would never in a million years set up a camera to record one of these moments when you are sobbing on the bed, or like wrapped up, when I have my arms wrapped around you and you're just absolutely breaking down because some construct of who you thought you had to be for yourself is falling apart.
Now I'm crying because I feel like I'm at a funeral, right?
Right. And to be like, oh, we should really show people, like...
No.
No.
You don't get to see that.
No, you don't.
We've talked about it, and I've been very open about a lot of it, and frankly, I don't want to even talk about that anymore because I'm busy enjoying my life. Not busy, but I'm having a blast in my life. And, for a long time, it feels very kind of like life is more heavy mm-hmm. than fun.
Yeah.
Kind of go in and out of those periods. But now, the way I experience those things has also changed, with more acceptance and more compassion for myself and more openness. There's no fear that it's never going to end because I know it will, right? And you don't get to know when that last tear is shed or the last little bit of grief is felt because I let go of this piece of myself. For example, perfectionism, that is no longer welcome in my body and my experience of life,
So it's also been another full year, one full calendar year of living nomadically and traveling full time.
Yeah.
So I want to talk through some of, or at least a bit of an itinerary of everywhere that we've been for the year.
Okay.
And if you have memories or highlights or lowlights of any of these spots, we'll just spend a little bit of time talking about our year as nomads. So we woke up on the first of the year in southern Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to go down to New Orleans for a weekend, do the whole Bourbon Street thing. Definitely a highlight for me. One of those places I'd never been.
Yeah.
Now I can say that I have been there.
Is that a place you'd go back to experience?
New Orleans?
Yeah, more of the city.
Yeah, if I did, it would probably be a shorter trip, and I would want to see some of the other parts of the city that we didn't get to go to since we were only in the city for a couple days.
Yeah. I think like staying down in that closer to New Orleans would be really fun just for a few days. And that was fun to see over Christmas because they really do up some of the hotels and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun experience down there. And it wasn't probably quite so stinky as if you went in summertime.
Yeah, we heard a lot of people tell us how bad it smells, but we were there in the winter and it didn't smell, so that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So from Louisiana, we headed west and we spent most of the next several months in Texas.
Yeah, let me back up though, because
Yeah.
I wanted to share what I loved about that area.
Yes.
Is we stayed on the north side of Lake Pontchartrain, and the food is incredible. Like even on the north side, out of the city of New Orleans, and then driving that bridge across that lake, super cool. So
Yeah,
lots
20-something long mile bridge over open water.
Yeah, and I want to say this: the people down there were very, very kind.
Yes.
And very welcoming and just social to us.
Yeah, coming from the Midwest, when you meet Southern hospitality for the first time, it's almost uncomfortable. Like it's disarming to a way to have somebody we just met when we were out having a cocktail one night say, "Oh, you guys aren't by your family for Christmas? Come over to my house for Christmas."
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
Like he was dead serious. He's like, my kids aren't going to be there. You can sleep in my kid's bed. Like literally invited us into his home to come be with him and his family for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, and we both are very social people in that way, and we will strike up conversations with anybody. And so I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So, and I will say this, if you follow us and you see us out in public,
Please say hi.
come up to us and say hi.
That's another thing that happened in New Orleans when we were out, is somebody messaged us on Instagram and said, "Hey, we saw you at this place. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you didn't come say hi."
Yeah.
Like, we just wanted to leave you alone.
Yeah. No,
But-
come say hi.
Yeah, seriously, come say hi. Come introduce yourself to us. And you can keep it on the down low if you don't want to come up and say "Oh, we listened to your Dom Sub podcast."
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hey, we know you guys from the internet.
We'll know, well, one of two ways. But we'll know what you mean.
Where we talk about our relationship or where Don gets naked?
I'm not the only one.
Or where we get naked, I guess, yes. Yeah, I definitely didn't realize how much I was going to also end up as a porn star.
How not?
Didn't really cross my mind.
Wow.
I was really thinking about me. It was more your kink.
Yes. Yes, it is.
So, yes, then over to Texas. We spent until the end of April over in Texas, around the Austin area, around the Houston area. And any highlights from Texas?
The Woodlands area of Houston, the suburb of Houston.
Woodlands is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Classy and foresty feel, and it had lots of things that we appreciate. Good food and cocktail places and live music and outdoor stuff.
Yep.
Lots of cool things there.
And there's always my favorite place anywhere we've been, which is Mar Frailis
Mm-hmm. In Houston.
in Houston. It's in the River Oaks neighborhood. It is called the Makeout Bar, and you can just go look this up for yourself.
Yep.
One of, if not my favorite place or thing we've stumbled across in our traveling.
We've been there 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome place.
Oh, what else about Texas? We became Texas residents
Yeah.
by Minnesota. And then, yeah, we left Texas and we headed west. We went to Phoenix and Sedona.
Mm-hmm. Sedona was beautiful. The hikes, like, that kind of started our adventures of hiking. Not like we've never hiked before, but we've kind of been on a lot of hiking in the last while now, because we did it Sedona, and then we were up in Utah and Colorado.
Yeah. And that was really the last almost 5 months we spent between Sedona, through Utah, through Colorado, and then back through Utah again.
Mm-hmm.
And just a couple days ago, we got back into Arizona, and now we're in Las Vegas
Mm-hmm.
when we're recording this. So we can kind of lump a lot of the Utah and Colorado travels together, but wow, the nature, like the colors of, like, we've all seen gray stone, like rock mountains, but you drive through this part of the country and it's like a rainbow. It's red and purple and green, and it's so stunning.
Different shapes and sizes. Like, I probably used to think, like, well, how many different views could you have of rocks and trees?
Yep.
And sometimes water. But wow, like, nature is magnificent. And I love that aspect of just being wowed by nature. I will never get sick of it.
We spent a lot of time in altitude, like at high elevations this last year.
Yeah.
Especially the last 4, 5, 6 months. We've been between 4,000 and 8,000 feet for most of it.
Mm-hmm.
So our bodies got to adapt to less oxygen. My Apple Watch thought I had sleep apnea because apparently the way my body reacts to not getting enough oxygen is like forgetting to breathe or panic breathing. When I got an Apple Watch when we were at 8,000 feet for the first time. I'd never had one before.
Mm-hmm.
And the first month of wearing it, it's like, you might have sleep apnea. Like, you're kidding me. Then we got out of altitude, and then the Apple Watch is like, no, just kidding.
I will say this, though, that, like, going up into the elevation, it wasn't our first time. We knew this, but it is quite humbling when you get more winded just going for a walk.
Yeah, you lose your
When
breath on a
mhm.
walk,
Yeah. So
or
that's,
a slight incline on a hike.
it's always a good reminder to just appreciate and have some humility and extend some compassion to myself. Yeah, good lessons. Oh, and I saw my first moose up in Colorado.
You did?
I saw one out in the wild, just by itself. You didn't get to see that one because you were driving. But then we saw 2 different ones in Rocky Mountain National Park. That was fun. And we heard elk bugling.
We heard elk bugling.
That was really cool. And saw elk.
I've loved watching you fall in love with nature because I was outdoors my whole childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And we both grew up in the country, but you weren't as outdoorsy.
Not into nature. I spent time outside, but it was on the
Right.
farm,
Right.
going down the gravel road for a bike ride.
Yeah, country living. I spent a lot of time in the woods, like hunting as a kid, climbing trees, building tree forts, and then my family went camping.
We did not.
So, I've gotten to introduce you to all of that stuff. We haven't built a tree fort together yet, but someday we might.
Yeah, someday. We shall do that.
But I've loved watching you fall in love with nature. Like when you go on a hike and you come over the crest of a hill and you see just something spectacular. I love just watching you look at it.
Yeah. And what was super cool back to like Utah was the moonscape overlook, and then the area which looks like the moon, or so they say. And then this area that looks like Mars, like all in Utah.
Yeah, all in the same area.
Central Utah.
And we learned that there is something in Utah called the Mars Desert Research Station.
Yep.
Look this up. I think it's marssociety.org, where they have people simulating what it would be like to live on Mars out in the middle of the Utah desert. Red rocks, red dirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's supposed to kind of look like what Mars looks like. And they wear spacesuits if they go outside and carry radios. And they do the whole like simulation of what it would be like to live on Mars as a part of studying, I think, for if human beings ever actually go there to learn about what that takes or what it would be like. So interesting. We got to drive up to that. You can't go in, but we got to see that the little pods that they run off of.
Yeah. And then see what the area that looks like Mars, like blues and reds and like purple hue as the sun is setting. It's incredible. And pictures do not do justice. No. That, like, back to the whole experiencing thing, that was one thing that I kept feeling like I found this stuff for us to go see. And I handed it off to you, and you decided when and what we were all going to see and experience. But the experience of being there is not like any of the pictures we even took. Like, we kept trying to capture things and we did our best to do that, but it is like no other. And like driving, when we were driving out to Lake Powell, the north side last weekend or whenever that was, like driving on these roads between, like in a canyon, between these like massive rocks that are so tall, mountains. And
almost bright red, like orangish red. They're so like, colorful.
A picture will not give you the experience of how magnificent it is and how beautiful. And so, like, I love how we've approached all of these things and just the slowness and the time that we've been able to experience in all of that area, even though we were a little starved for social energy sometimes and being around people because we were in some more remote areas, but we love each other a lot, so thankfully we have each other.
We came out of the mountains and being relatively isolated for the better part of, most of the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And we went straight to Las Vegas.
Yep.
I also got to see my first ever tarantula in the wild. You didn't get to see it.
I saw it dead.
Yes, I'm sorry, everyone. I killed the tarantula. All of the spider lovers out there, I could not let it kill my wife, so I had to kill the tarantula.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
Even seeing it just laying there on the ground.
So if you want to get an idea of the pictures that don't do the reality justice, there will be a whole bunch of them. By the time this comes out, this will have been a few weeks ago, but you can go on our Instagram every month around the first of the month. I post a camera roll post where I just dump a bunch of the fun stuff we've done in the last month into a carousel. So you can go back and look at some of them. But yeah, pictures don't do it justice. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to do when I'm hiking or when I'm just in nature is take some pictures to remember it and then put the camera away and really take it in.
Yeah. And I kind of was on the side of like, take it all in. And then I'm like, we don't have any pictures of that. So I've kind of like sometimes brought my phone with even just to do my own little fun pictures, because I err on the side of like leaving it behind, because I just want to be so absorbed in where I'm at. So we make a good team that way. In all ways.
Anything else that you have learned about yourself or about life from this year that you want to share?
Well, it's not the first time we've talked about this, because we did a whole episode on fear a long time ago. But I will say that what we shared in there is, I've learned, is even more real, is that if you're afraid of something, there's a reason you're afraid of it. And be willing to go in it and to let your heart and soul be opened by what is actually there for you, because your ego will try to make it be the worst possible case scenario, and that will never happen. It just doesn't. And so, but also stay out of meaning making around what it is and what isn't, and be willing to let your heart and soul also be opened by truth over and over and over again. Because probably like who I thought I was is not who I am. And my ego wanted me to be right a lot. And when I've been willing to be wrong, because it's not really wrong, I actually get an experience of life that I didn't even know was possible.
Yeah, that's a really... Well, first of all, I was chuckling as you were saying that, because we think that what fear is telling us, these worst case scenarios, are the things that are going to happen. Those things really don't, or hardly ever happen.
Right.
The quote unquote bad things, hard things that happen, are almost always things you can't predict.
Yeah.
They're things that come out of nowhere, or there may be things you thought weren't a big deal and they blow up in your face, or whatever it is. So I've learned this so many times through you and for myself, that the things that I think, or that we think that we don't want, or that we're definitely sure are not for us, or the things that are triggering, like all of that tension is there for a reason. It's trying to protect you from something.
Mm-hmm.
The things you're the most afraid of are generally the things that are the most right for you. They're the things that you need to experience. And you're protecting yourself from them, in part because of what would have to die about yourself in order to if you were to go all the way into these things, if you were to pursue what you're afraid of rather than choosing to not go in that direction because of fear. If you were to move towards the fear, so much would have to fall apart about yourself, and that's what people are the most afraid of. That's what I've been the most afraid of, what you've been the most afraid of. It's not what's going to happen, it's what would happen, what's going to happen to me in order to go in that direction.
What's going to happen to who I think I am.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say also, this isn't anything new, but you just did a podcast on shame. And you don't have to live in shame. You don't have to stay in your own suppression. You don't have to stay living in fear. And the lesson that I have learned is every time I step forward, and, I'm not going to go into my whole journey here, but there was a time when I would have said I have low libido, I'm not very sexual, even though there was times when I was sexual, but that's how I saw myself. That's how I labeled it, because there were so many things that weren't okay. But when I willingly would go into something that I was afraid of, or start to engage with this kink that started to surface, even if it felt wrong to my mind, it's like, well, maybe it's technically illegal, or maybe it's like that would never happen. Like, just engage with it, because fantasy is all just an experience in the moment. It doesn't mean that anything's going to happen, or it has to happen, or you even have to have it.
Yeah.
Right? So when you engage with it, your soul will continue to speak to you. That's been my experience. And the pleasure that I get to experience only becomes more expansive in my body, and very abundant, and like my whole experience of myself and my body is so different.
So what's coming in the next year for us? I guess the first answer to that is...
Well, can I go back? I wanted
Sure.
to ask you something.
Okay.
What has been your favorite experience of the last year? And then also, what are you the most proud of about yourself?
Ooh, good questions.
Both of those two things.
Good questions. It's always tough to pick a favorite thing, because the way that I've set our lives up, we only do what we want to do. I have full autonomy over my time. Every day when I wake up, everything that I quote unquote have to do is all what I want to do, because it's all things that I've chosen. And so people ask us when we're traveling all the time, like, what's your favorite place you've been? Like, everywhere, because we only go places that we like. So my answer is kind of that, but if I'm to pick just one really fun thing for me, I loved tubing down the river in Golden, Colorado. That was an absolute blast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all of the nature. And I think one other really, really fun thing has been watching you just blossom and come alive in the second half of the year, since you decided to dive in head first and become a porn star. So that is also one of my favorite things from this last year, is just watching you bloom. And as far as what I'm the most proud of myself for, I would actually say probably the fact that I really feel like I got to know my inner child this year. Like, I actually learned how to love myself, how to slow myself down inside, and enjoy the moment more than I ever have. And being able to really be with the part of myself that was still carrying a lot of fear that I couldn't even see. And meet myself there. Bring compassion to the little boy that felt scared and hurt and afraid. And to take some time to be with myself like that. It's probably what I'm the most proud of.
I'm proud of you for that too. And I'm thankful that life gave us the space that you needed in order to just go through all of that too. And I was thankful to be alongside of you. And we talk a lot about the dominant leading and holding and whatever. Like, that was an experience where I felt like I actually got to hold you and hold your inner little boy. And that is an intimacy that has deepened our relationship together and opened both of us even more. And that was an intense experience and really interesting because of where I had gotten to at the point when this surfaced for you. But it was so beautiful to experience myself feeling so okay, and I trust myself, and then get to hold you as you sort of fell apart a little bit because you had to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you were throwing a temper tantrum and crying on the floor. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, it was pretty close though a couple times.
Yes, yes, but you let me hold you in that. It was like, it doesn't matter the typical way these things work, and it doesn't matter that we also say, dominant, don't unload your emotions on her. It's not black and white. And so I got to be something. What my experience was, it felt like I got to be something for you and hold you through it in a way that I had never gotten to experience before. And I was so okay and solid inside of myself, which probably why you were able to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a beautiful experience of intimacy for us.
Yeah. When I talk to men and couples and I teach this idea of polarity where the emotional energy has to run one direction from her into him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, that's when everything is healed and functioning well and smooth and all of these inner child things have been worked through.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it gets to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way that everything works best. But also there are times when I'm going through something really heavy that I'm just like, I'm not going to be like, I can't share it with her because it's going to screw up the polarity.
Yeah.
Fuck the polarity.
Mm-hmm.
Polarity will work itself out when you get closer to real.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, Dawn hasn't been the only one having breakdowns and crying this year. I have too. And it's made me better. It's made me stronger. It's made me more solid. It's helped me trust myself more. I'm better for it. And then I'm better for you for it. And now I'm even more able to hold you because, yeah, we've fucked up the polarity for a couple weeks and I was having the breakdown and you were hugging me on the bed while I was sobbing, and then something gets to just be more solid after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a beautiful opening experience for both of us. And by the way, we didn't fuck up the polarity. We willingly chose. You needed to experience that with me for what it was, and and so that is a beautiful lesson to share too, is it's not polarity is not black and white. You don't have to, it's not life-giving to act like nothing's wrong, or you're not going that you're not going through something and you're not experiencing something.
Yeah.
And so I feel like probably you erred on the side of not telling me anything. And I'm like, no, let's be real here.
Yeah.
And then I just want to say, for myself, what I feel like I'm the most proud of is what I kind of already shared in just actually living in those lessons, but the trust that I have in myself. is way deeper than it was before. And being able to experience what I feel and be able to share that and stay out of making meaning of it. And that's really continued to bring us deeper into the dominance and submission and the level of surrender that I get to experience in all of life.
I also have to give you a lot of credit for what you just did there.
What did I do?
You asked yourself a question so that you could answer it about what you're the most proud of. That was expertly executed.
Well, I asked you that question, so I was going to share my answer for myself.
No,
Because
I'm very proud of you for that, because that trust that you've built in yourself has helped you find a deeper connection to yourself and therefore made you more available to me.
yeah, and I would say that it's what made possible you even going deeper into who you are, into all of what that experience was. Like I had to be at that level of trusting myself.
Yeah, I needed you at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're just about out of time for our episode here, but I want to talk a little bit about what's coming for us and for Infinite Devotion in the new year. And to some extent, these are our ideas, these are my ideas, the direction, kind of the vision, but I always leave, anytime that I'm looking at a vision, I always leave it open to something even better. Because I've gotten to know life well enough to know that, what's that line? If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yeah.
So here's our plans.
Here's our ideas.
Here's the ideas. One thing that I see being really valuable for us and a place that I want to be able to connect more with our audience is to find a way to do some in-person events. What those are, when, how, all remains to be seen. If there's something that you are listening to this and you would love for us to do, couples event, something for men, like whatever you would love to participate in, if you're listening to or watching this, please let us know. I'd love to hear. But so much of this internet stuff, like the human contact thing, getting back to talking to and working with real people in real life, is definitely coming.
Yeah, we have felt that one coming for sure. We're open to it. And so life will show us what that is supposed to be.
And, it's not nothing that I'm also planning ahead for how I keep this business relevant and functional for us going forward into a world where AI may make what we do less and less necessary or valued or needed. So, the one thing AI can't ever do is human connection. And that's a big part of why I want to start doing in-person things.
Yeah. Real people can't be replaced.
Yeah.
And authenticity can't be replaced. And that's who and what we are. So I'm excited for that. That feels really fun. And it feels like we're ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
And now life will take us through whatever else we need to be to be ready.
Yeah. I'm sure there is a curriculum coming for us.
Integrate these lessons more deeply here.
Yeah. There's another project that I'm not ready to fully share yet that I'm working on, something for men that is hopefully going to be out in the first part of next year. I'm putting a lot of time and energy into that every day right now. And hopefully a way to reach a lot more men with the things that I talk about and teach. And that's one that's been putting me through the curriculum over the last couple of months, learning everything I need to learn so I can share those messages. And from there, I think a lot of it comes back to the OnlyFans stuff. And that's going to be a big part of what we do in the coming year, in large part because it's the most fun thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
And even making more social media content around teasing that, because it's just fun, it's silly, and we've been through so much heavy stuff. And I've said this message on this podcast before, and I'm going to say it again here. It's not about staying in the process forever.
No.
The point of working through the heavy stuff is to get back to a point where you can live and enjoy your life. And that is where it feels like we are really coming into in this coming year, is the ability to just enjoy the fruits of all of this ego death that we've both been going through for so long now. And the OnlyFans stuff is the most fun.
Absolutely it is.
Orgasming for work.
All day long. It's fun for me.
So, if you haven't checked us out over there yet, give it a try. Or not, we're cool either way. But thank you for being back on the podcast for the final episode of 2025. Thank you to all of you who have been a part of everything that this Infinite Devotion and Dom Sub Devotion has grown into this year. Whether you just clicked follow on Instagram, or you're a part of one of our courses or coaching, like, all of you matter so much to us. It's so special to us that we get to share our lives with you in increasingly intimate ways.
As intimate as you choose
Yes.
to be.
Yeah, you can really go as deep with us now as you would like to. But it means so much to us to be able to share our lives with you and to make a difference in whatever way that we have. So thank you. It means the world to us. We appreciate you. And we will see you next year, first Monday of 2026. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.